Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Zimbabwe's finest radio, ZiFM Stereo.
It's Lionel Messi! He scored! The goal the world wanted!
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
It's Neymar trying to feed it through. It's a stretch and it's in! And I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. Extraordinary scenes!
The biggest interviews.
It's more difficult. Obviously, it's more difficult.
And all the analysis right here.
If they play poorly, they come back, they've got all the excuses. You can't have it both ways.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
My station, your station, everybody's station. It's a Thursday evening, meaning that it's the short show where we camp out on a specific issue related to the world of sport. And today we take a look at the CAF Champions League quarterfinal draw, what it looks like and possibly what it means. We'll let you know what our thoughts are, and it'll be very interesting to hear what your thoughts are on that draw. In the studio with me is Mike Madoda and of course our producer Sean Tafirenyiko, who's put together another great show for you. Let's go.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
But before we get into the meat of the matter, we'll give you a couple of local sports news updates, starting with rugby, where Zimbabwe coach Gilbert Nyamutsamba wants to use this weekend's Kwese Sevens International Rugby Tournament as a platform to identify talented players to infuse in his Africa Cup squad later in the year. This year's Kwese tourney has been moved from its traditional base in Victoria Falls to Harare Sports Club and will be played on Saturday and Sunday. Nyamutsamba, seeking to maximize on home advantage, has called up 24 players in the camp, as the hosts will have the luxury of fielding two teams, the Cheetahs and the squad of French players, the Goshawks. In cricket news, newly crowned domestic T20 champions, the Tuskers, say they deserve to lift the shorter version of the game given the rich vein of form they hit right from the onset of the competition. Tuskers did themselves a huge favour by winning 3 of their 5 matches before Sunday's no result, and captain Ainsley Ndlovu, reminiscing on the cup victory, alluded that his charges deserved their moment in the sun.
I'm Sande Chidzambwa, the Zimbabwe national team's head coach, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
In other news, Zimbabwe Football Association ZIFA President Felton Kamambwe has revealed his board has made alternative plans for the Warriors kit ahead of their crucial 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Congo, amid indications that their Umbro kit might not arrive on time. The Umbro kit deal, announced by ZIFA over a month ago, has been thrown into the spotlight as the suppliers are yet to deliver, raising serious questions on the nature of the agreement. My goodness, this is very interesting. I mean, we both spoke off air when this deal was announced and felt that the timelines were a bit ambitious, and certainly seems that way.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I think what would have been more believable was Umbro coming in and saying, okay, we're going to dress the team up for the last AFCON qualifier versus Congo-Brazzaville, and then set themselves realistic deadlines in terms of delivering the replicas, and also giving themselves enough time to actually come up with a unique and Zimbabwe-themed shirt for AFCON in Egypt in June and July. But I think, the promises made to ZIFA and the promises made to the fans, impossible to meet.
Absolutely, and it usually takes about between 3 to 6 months for you to agree on a design for a kit, and then obviously get it manufactured and then get it delivered. So it makes sense what you're saying, that just pick one off the shelf, kit the team out. At this stage, the team doesn't even have Umbro kit, and it looks like they're going to have to go another direction. I've seen pictures arise on social media with the team wearing Lotto tracksuits. perhaps that's the alternative, eh?
Yeah, but it's not a good enough one, especially after you launched, especially after you made a big announcement, a big rara about Zimbabwe now being kitted out by Umbro. We would have expected the lads to be running out of the National Sports Stadium this Sunday in Umbro kit. Would have expected, in fact, to see them from the very first day in camp dressed up by Umbro. I think it would have lifted the spirit of the guys who are in camp, the players themselves, the technical team. It would also have given the fans hope as well as putting a marker down for the current ZiFM executive that we deliver on our promises, we deliver on the things that we say we'll do.
Yeah, very important. And already the young Warriors are in Maputo for an important campaign that could culminate in them playing at the 2020 Olympic Games, and they are sure to play in an unbranded kit when they face Mozambique tomorrow. Not good news coming out of ZiFM from an apparel perspective. It could have been so much better.
Zimbabwe's finest radio. ZiFM Stereo.
The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
As promised, we are centering in on the CAF Champions League quarter-final draw, which was held last night, and we can tell you that Mamelodi Sundowns, Cabo Yellow, Masandawana, they were pitted against Ahly in the CAF Champions League quarter-finals. The Brazilians secured their place in the last 8 after finishing second in Group A behind Moroccan giants Wydad Casablanca, while Egyptian football powerhouse Ahly booked their place in the knockout stages after winning Group D. This will be the first meeting between the two former Champions League winners since 2007. Defending champions Esperance of Tunisia will lock horns with Algerian side Constantine in a North African derby. Guinea's Horoya, who beat Sundowns PSL rivals Orlando Pirates to reach the quarterfinals last weekend, were pitted against Wydad Casablanca. 5-time Champions League winners TP Mazembe of the DR Congo were drawn against Tanzanian giants Simba Football Club. And Barry, you've got to say that Sundowns versus Ahly, definitely the pick of the fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely, it's definitely the pick of the fixtures. Anytime that you got two former champions pitting their wits against each other in the quarterfinals, that's certainly something to behold. And also, these are two footballing sides that know each other. They'll size each other up. So this one is the one to watch.
Sundowns definitely now can be considered amongst the powerhouses of African football, because we now see them constantly in the knockout stages, constantly and consistently at the business end of the tournament.
Absolutely, they are one of the powerhouses. They've been able to successfully navigate the group stages, get into the knockout stages, and it remains to be seen. Look, if you got to think to yourself, there's a good chance, if you're a betting man, there's a good chance that the team that walks out of this tie, Sundowns versus Ahly, can possibly go all the way, because of knowing what you're always talking about, the pedigree of the competition. These two teams now have that pedigree, including Sundowns, yes indeed, and they're likely to go all the way if they win this one.
Mamelodi Sundowns playing out of Pretoria, specifically the Lucas Masterpieces Moripa Stadium.
Delightfully named.
Atteridgeville, yes, delightfully named. And they're coached by Pitso Mosimane. He's a man who has frustrated, and Zimbabwean football fans will say perhaps insulted them on more than one occasion. His run-ins with Kama Billiot and recently with goalkeeper Elvis Chipese has meant that for Zimbabwean football fans, he's a coach that they don't exactly like. But Barry, he's a coach who has proved himself at Mamelodi Sundowns as arguably the top coach right now in South African football, and he has shown himself to be tactically astute, not just in the ABSA Premiership but also in the CAF Champions League. Absolutely,
and knows how to play these knockout ties as well. He knows what he needs from the first leg and what he'll need to do in the second leg as well. As long as he doesn't fall too far behind, I will tell you now, Mamelodi Sundowns are always in this tie. They're in this tie right at the beginning before a ball being kicked. They're going to be in it right at the death if they don't lose too much ground to Al Ahly.
Have you been impressed by the manner in which the Sundowns is now looking beyond South African talent, beyond the stars of the ABSA Premiership, to sign some stars that we have seen coming from a far field as South America?
Sure.
You know, guys, they're getting into their squad so that they can compete not just at home but also make a mark on the continent.
Yeah.
And that's almost what we've been saying about FC Platinum, that FC Platinum is going to have to look beyond getting the best players in Zimbabwe and start fishing in Central Africa, in East Africa, start fishing in West Africa for players that can take FC Platinum forward.
Yeah, well, that's the marker, if I can put my marketing hat on top of building a brand, because Sundowns has been building a brand for Africa, but not only made up of Africa. Their payoff line is sky's the limit, and then they call themselves the Brazilians, and you can see that in the way that they're beginning to fashion themselves. I'm sorry to say, I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan, but to be honest, the glamour boys of the PSL in South Africa right now is Sundowns.
Oh, well, let's just repeat the quarterfinal draw for you. It's Constantine taking on Esperance. Horoya versus Wydad Casablanca. Mamelodi Sundowns will take on Egyptian giants Al Ahly, and Simba of Tanzania, a side that not many would have expected to be at the business end. They'll be taking on perennial challengers TP Mazembe of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The first leg will be played on the 5th and 6th of April. The second leg matches will be played on the 12th and the 13th of April. Now, Barry, I was not the best of geography students, but when I take a look at those 8 clubs, the split is heavily in favor of North Africa. There are 4 North African nations that are represented there. We have one West African nation in Guinea, represented of course by Horoya, the conquerors of FC Platinum, as well as Orlando Pirates. We have one nation from South Africa represented by Mamelodi Sundowns, East Africa represented by Simba, and then Central Africa by TP Mazembe. There's no hiding, Barry, the fact that North Africa is dominating this competition.
North Africa is the home of football at the moment on the continent, and they've been very consistent in having teams in the latter stages of the Champions League all the time, and also having nations that consistently compete and challenge at Africa Cup of Nations level. And so that consistency is beginning to come through and ring true a lot on the basis that these are becoming very strong leagues with strong teams. We should be very cautious about that.
What does it then say of the West African nations like Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Senegal, who are able to compete at an even higher level than the North Africans as national teams? What does it say of them and their local leagues? It looks like their associations are basically there as football agents to manage players who are playing abroad.
It's a very sad indictment on the leagues in those countries on this basis. It means that the national teams are made up mostly of players who are playing in foreign teams. So
sometimes
there's a foreign legion. So sometimes exclusively, exactly. Meaning that the football associations aren't doing enough to develop the game at home. Now, it may not be a big issue now, but it certainly will be in the latter days, in the days to come. Because when you don't have a strong domestic league, a strong domestic foundation upon which you can build, you're building basically a paper fire, and that paper fire is going to go out at some stage.
Okay, that is of course the CAF Champions League. Mamelodi Sundowns handed a very difficult draw. They face Al Ahly of Egypt, and of course Horoya, the conquerors of FC Platinum, and as well as Orlando Pirates. They are taking on Wydad Casablanca. These are going to be 4 testy matches, 4 matches where 8 of the best clubs in Africa are going head to head. Now let's talk about Horoya. Because Horoya, when the draw was done, Group B, when it came out as Orlando Pirates, when it came out as Esperance, when it came out as FC Platinum and Horoya, a lot of people were quick to say, Horoya is the banker for FC Platinum, possibly 6 points there. But here we see Horoya, like they did last year, in the quarterfinals. Were we guilty of underestimating the Guinean side?
Big time on the basis that we thought to ourselves, it's a CAF Champions League, and we know Esperance, they're the defending champions. We know Orlando Pirates have been to the final. Consequently, we installed those two as the favorites to go through. Everybody else was also ran. What Horoya did well for me is that they made their home ground a fortress. So they if they didn't win their home ties, they certainly got a draw. So they got a positive result in each one of their home ties, even against Esperance getting a 1-1 draw, and that's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. I mean, they got 7 points from their home matches.
Home matches, yeah.
They drew their first match versus Esperance. They were unlucky to actually draw that match because they led for long periods in that match, only for Esperance to grab a last-minute equalizer, and then they were able to put FC Platinum to the sword and able to put Orlando Pirates to the sword. They got themselves 7 points at home, and it's those 7 points that they won at home that got them over the line as far as qualification for the quarterfinals is concerned. And I think that first match versus Tunisia should have been the warning that the other two teams in the group should have heeded, that hey, this team is no pushovers. They're up against the defending champions. They dominate the defending champions. They're unlucky to get a point in that home match. They should have been taken more seriously. Do you think they have it in them to spring another surprise? Go one further, semi-finals?
They're playing Wydad Casablanca. They are decent in terms of tempo of play as a team, but Wydad Casablanca play very quickly. So I think that over the 2 legs, they might be able to sneak a draw. I am challenged to think that they will be able to prevail over Wydad Casablanca over the 2 legs. So my view is that in that tie, Wydad goes through and Horoya ends in the quarterfinals.
Now, Simba from East Africa, an interesting proposition. Not many will be tipping them to do well, to go beyond this particular stage of the competition. They're up against TP Mazembe. TP Mazembe, who we know have got designs on winning this competition outright. They are eyeing the ultimate prize, and they are well capable of winning this competition. Now, Simba, surely they are a model for FC Platinum. They are a model that can be followed, in that here's a team that has stability in Tanzania, in a league that's not as fashionable as the other top leagues in Africa. But what they do have is the stability. They have the organization at an administrative level, and they have the investment to be able to get a good squad together and to compete at this level. Surely FC Platinum should be looking at that and say, you know what, if Simba can start doing this at this level of the competition, surely if we invest just a bit more in the caliber and the quality of our players, we can also achieve the same thing.
Certainly, they can draw inspiration for what Simba Stars have done. I think they've the one thing that the Simba also has going for them is that they've got a massive support base. They really have a partisan
60,000
shucks
for home games,
easy as you like, hands on heels. So they also need to look into that as they look into and draw inspiration from everything that Simba is getting right. They also need to look at building a credible fan base. Now, what that'll do for FC Platinum is if they ever get a chance to play a home leg or home tie at Mandava, that should be a fortress and should be uncomfortable for any visitor.
Have they done enough, though, FC Platinum, Barry, as we wrap this discussion up? Have they done enough in terms of fan engagement? Have they done enough in terms of winning over fans, the neutrals, who admire them from a distance, we must admit, who love the FC Platinum brand, but are not necessarily tracking out to Mandava like they should to back the boys?
They haven't done enough, and I think that what they need to do is not focus on the national support, because that is already there. There's a soft spot for FC Platinum. They need to focus on the local support. Do more in Zhishawani. Get the Zhishawani community supporting them more so than Shabani Mine, and they'll be over the line.
Our player of the day features Sean Paul, and of course, so we've been telling his story all week on ZiFM Sport. One beat coming up for you as we wrap up the show on a Thursday. But before we get there, let's give you a quick international sports news update.
International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Tennis news, former tennis player Greg Ruzetsky believes Novak Djokovic will be back to his best at the Miami Open this week following his early exit from Indian Wells. World number 1 Djokovic started the BNP Paribas Open as the clear favorite, but he was stunned in the third round by German Philipp Kohlschreiber. The Serb went into Indian Wells without his mentor Marian Varga, but the two will be reunited at Miami this week, and Ruzetsky thinks he will be the man to beat. In golf news, John Ram has no intention of losing his fiery personality, although he does admit he needs to learn to control it better. The Spaniard was responding to questions about a testy exchange with his caddy during the final round of last week's Players' Championship, an incident which seemed to make him lose his concentration as his challenge faltered on the back nine. Ram who started the final round in the lead, was captured on camera arguing with his caddy over whether to attempt a nearly impossible shot from a fairway bunker on the par 5 11th hole. He wanted to try and go for the green while his caddy was doing his best to try and talk him out of it.
Play of the day. Throwback Thursday.
Certified quality. That the girl them need and I cry for every day without apology.
Now, Sean Paul is featured on many tracks and has featured several artists on his music. This is one of the most famous collaborations and created an equal amount of notoriety for both artists. It is Beyonce and Sean Paul. It's Baby Boy from 2003. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
Be sure to catch ZiFM Sport every weekday on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.